my dear friends. Today we are stepping into a space that is both beautiful and incredibly fragile. We are talking about the heart of the home, the foundation upon which families are built, the covenant of marriage. Whether you have been married for 30 years, 30 days, or you are still waiting for that special person, the words we share today are for you. Because, let's be honest, marriage is not a fairy tale. It is not always about the soft lighting, the beautiful flowers, or the perfect Instagram photos. Real marriage happens in the quiet, mundane, and sometimes painful moments of everyday life. It happens in the kitchen after a long day of work, in the silence after an argument, and in the hospital rooms where we face our deepest fears. The world tells us that love is a feeling, a spark, a rush of emotion that makes us feel alive. But feelings are like the weather. They change. They are influenced by our stress levels, our health, and our circumstances. If we build a marriage on feelings alone, we are building on sand. Through the lens of faith, we learn that real love, the kind of love that lasts a lifetime, is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is a daily commitment to seek the highest good of another person, even when they aren't being particularly likable. And at the very core of this commitment lies the most difficult, yet most divine power we possess, the power of forgiveness. You see, marriage is the union of two imperfect people. Two people with different backgrounds, different scars, and different flaws, trying to build one life together. In such a close space, it is inevitable that we will hurt each other. We will say things we regret. We will be selfish. We will fail to listen. The question in a long-lasting marriage isn't whether you will get hurt, it's what you do with that hurt. Will you let it turn into a wall of resentment that slowly divides you, or will you use the tool of forgiveness to build a bridge back to one another? Let's talk about what forgiveness actually is, because there is so much misunderstanding about it. Forgiveness is not pretending it didn't happen. It is not excusing bad behavior. And it is certainly not forgetting, because our brains are designed to remember pain to protect us. No, forgiveness is something much more radical. Forgiveness is the act of releasing the debt. It is deciding that I will not use your past mistakes as a weapon against you today. It is choosing to let go of the right to get even. Think about the way the divine forgives us. We are told that our debts are wiped clean, that we are given a fresh start every single morning. If we want that kind of grace for ourselves, we must be willing to give it to the person sleeping right next to us. When we withhold forgiveness, we aren't hurting our spouse as much as we are hurting ourselves. Resentment is like drinking poison, then waiting for the other person to suffer. It eats away at the intimacy and the joy of your home. But when you choose to forgive, you aren't saying that what happened was okay. You are saying, our future is more important than our past. Now, I know some of you are listening to this and you're feeling a heavy weight in your chest. Maybe you've been deeply betrayed. Maybe the hurt is so fresh that the idea of forgiveness feels impossible. I want to say to you, I see you. I hear you. Forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. Sometimes you have to choose to forgive someone 70 times 7 times in a single day, because the memory keeps coming back to sting you. But every time you choose to let go of that bitterness, you are performing a spiritual miracle. You are breaking a cycle of pain. And let's look at the other side of the coin. Love. In a world that is obsessed with self-love, faith-based marriage teaches us self-sacrifice. This is a radical, countercultural idea. We are taught to ask, what is my spouse getting out of this? Instead of what am I getting out of this? This is what we call agape love. It is a love that serves. It is the husband who sees his wife is exhausted and steps in to handle the chores without being asked. It is the wife who speaks words of encouragement to her husband when the world has beaten him down. It is the quiet act of putting your own ego aside to make room for your partner's growth. A truly successful marriage is not one that never faces a storm. It is one where the two people have decided that the storm will not break them. It is about creating a safe space. Your spouse should be the one person in the world who knows all your flaws and yet makes you feel like you are enough. To create this space, we must learn the language of kindness. The Bible tells us that kindness is a fruit of the Spirit, but in the heat of an argument, kindness is often the first thing we throw out the window. We use our words to cut, to belittle, and to win. But in marriage, if one person wins the argument, at the expense of the other's dignity, both people lose. Instead, try to cultivate a culture of appreciation in your home. We are so quick to point out what our spouse is doing wrong, but how often do we celebrate what they are doing right? When was the last time you looked your spouse in the eye and said, "Thank you for working so hard for this family," or "I really admire the way you handled that situation"? These small words of affirmation are like water to a thirsty soul. They build a reservoir of goodwill that helps you survive the dry seasons. And finally, we must realize that we cannot love like this on our own strength. Human love is limited. It runs out. It gets tired. To have a marriage that truly reflects divine love, we must stay connected to the source of love. We need a third cord in our relationship. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. When you and your spouse are both looking toward the divine, you naturally grow closer to each other. When you pray together and, I mean really pray, being vulnerable and honest before the Creator, it creates a level of intimacy that physical touch alone can never reach. It reminds you that you are both under the same grace. My friend, marriage is a beautiful, difficult, holy mystery. It is a refinery where our selfishness is burned away so that our true character can shine. If your marriage is in a dark place right now, don't give up. Don't believe the lie that it's too far gone. Start with one small act of kindness. Start with one decision to forgive. Start by praying for your spouse instead of complaining about them. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. This is the standard. It is a high bar, yes. But you have a helper who is the author of love itself. Trust in that power today. Let your marriage be a lighthouse of forgiveness and a sanctuary of love in a world that so desperately needs to see what real commitment looks like. Take heart. You are doing a sacred work. Love fiercely, forgive quickly, and walk in the peace that comes from a life lived for someone other than yourself. God bless your home, and I will see you in our next conversation.